Welcome, Fetty friends, to episode 28 of Fireside Fetty. I'm your host, Ozone. Fireside Fetty is a show about folks within the Fediverse. If you're seeing this, you are a part of the Fediverse. Even if you're watching from a non-Fediverse platform right now, such as YouTube, for the moment, you're an adopted Fedizen. Please don't forget to boost, share, like, subscribe, all of that stuff for those algorithms out there. Not just on the Fediverse, but share on the old socials, your YouTubes, your Twitches, all of that stuff. Not Twitch. We're not on Twitch right now. X, Blue Sky, YouTube. I think that's the only place right now. But anyway, with me today is Franzo. Franzo is an Italian FOSS Software games lover, composer, and developer. Franzo tries to help free and open source projects Franzo tries to help FOSS projects growing up, working for them whenever possible. Franzo streams on Peertube and uploads all of his music and shows and everything to his Peertube. So if you want someone to watch via a free platform, and he has tons of content out there, please go follow Franzo. I'll have a link in the description and everywhere else. But Franzo, welcome to Fireside Fetty, and how would you like to be addressed?
Thank you. As you wish. You can address me as you really like. Franzo is fine. Open source gaming is the name of my channel. Some people call me that, open source gaming, but it's Franzo is more than fine.
See, I was just thinking to myself, I think the reason I said Fireside Freddy is because I have Franzo on. So now we have Franzo on Fireside Fetty, and Franzo is fine with being called Franzo. Fine. Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of F's in this show, and not even the fun kind, though. I usually end up having the occasional F-bomb as well. But Franzo, welcome. How did you get to where you're at today?
Where I am? Well, actually, I just started to be Libre game enjoyer at some point. I was explaining you in the past, like before, I was explaining you, I started using Linux at some point when I was at high school, and then everything started out. Everything started out because I discovered something different from what I was using on my netbook. And from that point on, I discovered some new game that I didn't know. In this case, we're talking about Battle for Westnot. And that opened me the gates to this new world that was free software and Libre games. But of course, when I started, I never knew that it was something like that. I was just having fun on these games without knowing what they were. I think that this is an exceptional case, but some people actually also get to free software because of that, because they start with something they like, and then they discover there are values behind those things. But yeah, basically, I started streaming open source games, and especially Libre games at some point. In 2020, when COVID pandemic started, I had not much to do at home. I started exploring, and I met a community online that was Libre Game Night. And then at that point, I started playing Libre games with them, and I decided I wanted to boost this kind of games, these games that are special in a way. Their engine and their source code is open, and most of the times the assets are open source too. They are free software, and therefore we call them Libre games. Now I'm part of this wonderful community, which is Libre Gaming. And yeah, they allowed me to know about these Libre games, and I started streaming them because I wanted them to be known to the people. So
okay,
yeah.
So it's interesting though, because you started with a netbook. So are we talking about like late 2000s or early 2010s kind of an era?
Yeah, it was a netbook 2012. I don't remember precisely. It was very slow. And he had only 1 or 2 gigabytes of RAM, and I think it was an Asus. I don't remember. But
I remember netbooks.
I only remember that they had a CPU that was very slow. But it was a dual-core Intel Atom, I think. Or yeah,
Ooh.
I think it was.
yeah, those were.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were rough to put it. Like to run anything, let alone Windows, that had to be painful. But it's
Yeah.
interesting because I mean, at least I know when I was in high school, gaming was a large part of even back then in God mid to late 90s. I was in high school, and even then, like video games were a big thing. So I couldn't even imagine getting like getting on a platform that didn't play games, especially now where gaming is so centralized to our culture. I think we've taken a step further with the Steam Deck. But were you interested in Linux at that time? Again, it sounds like you just had the netbook that probably barely ran, and you were looking for any way to use that, and anything else was second to that, tangential. Is that
Yeah, basically, I was not playing many games at that time, but before that, I was playing some proprietary games as well on other computers and on Windows, of course. But
okay?
when I installed this new system, for me, the computer started to be faster and I
Yeah.
started experiencing something new. I was very excited. And first thing I went to the store of this system that was Linux Mint, and I started downloading games. And of course, 3D games were very slow. So I just focused on 2D games like
Yeah.
Westnot. And at that point, I started getting a little back in gaming. At that point, I also tried to run Windows games with Wine. When I had a faster computer, I
Oh,
was also successful to run proprietary games with Wine with almost same performance. And all these things started to convince me that there was really no reason for me to stay on Windows until I went back to music before, like after high school, and I needed Windows in my new computer for music composition and playing. But again, I was wrong. At some point, I just started using Linux again. I found many programs in this very cool, actually, environment that is Linux Audio. I mean, that is the Linux Audio environment for professionals, because there are many programs that you can use to compose music, to play live. And I was amazed by how many resources I found, how many good programs. I started using Ardor instead of Cubase. So I replaced entirely a paid and proprietary alternative with a FOSS one.
okay.
And I started getting more and more involved in every
So
aspect, of the free software in this case.
so you
Yeah,
are
yeah. Sorry to answer your question.
no, no, no.
I didn't even think about what is Linux. I just got into it because the computer was low. Then I discovered the games and I discovered the applications and everything. And yeah,
So before this, you had a netbook that was running really crappy, and you're like, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Let me find out what else is out there, which led you to Linux, which led you to Libre Games, and now you are a free and open source software developer.
yeah.
So, do you feel that like that was a real monumentally changing thing, finding Linux, finding open source games? Do you feel that if you had not found Linux and open source games, you would still be a developer?
Probably I will not be a developer
No.
because
Okay.
no, because a lot of things led me into development. Also, the thing that I rediscovered Linux during 2020,
Mm-hmm.
and because I had much free time, I started composing music for video games. So I shifted from live music to video game music,
Oh,
and I
wow.
started to composing music for free open source video games. Yeah, to have some practice. And then because of
What?
that, I started getting into more into software in general. And then I took some boot camps, I started studying, and then I got into development. But I was at the same time messing up with window managers, i3, Ozone WM, and started learning Bash and Lua. So all these things went together because I had so much free time at that point that I was not working with music, unfortunately, but I could experiment and learn more, and that really made me happy, to experiment with stuff. If I was doing that on Windows, I don't think I was going to
It doesn't.
to to go
It
on
doesn't. It doesn't really
continue.
lend itself to diving in and learning about applications. It's more of here, use this, and at least for me, it's never been open. It never asks you to play with the stuff, to break the things. If anything, they don't want you to touch anything because they don't want to have to worry about fixing your mess up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's a fundamental ideal change between Windows and Linux.
Yeah, you know what? What happened? I started composing music on Windows, and then it got boring. Like, okay, it was always the same thing. It was working fine, and then when I had so much free time and I wanted to try these new things, I remembered, oh, you know, in high school I installed that system that was called Linux. What if I install it now? It would be very cool to play with that. And then I installed the Ubuntu, and it was boring. It didn't break. It worked. And then I broke the system. I started installing window managers, and that allowed me to learn stuff.
That's yeah. No, that's literally the best way to learn. Yeah. I've told people whenever I would take the Red Hat certification classes, is when we would learn, you know, one chapter, and then we would go into the tutorials on walking you through, making sure you know it. I would do it once the way that they wanted to, and then I would do it again, but I would try and do it a different way, and I would see how it broke, and like people would be like, "Oh, well, there's nothing to learn there." It's like, no, now I know that if I put in X, I get this error. So if I sometime during the test see this error, oh, I know where I'm at. I know where I messed up, and those kinds of breaking things is such a valuable moment. Like, one of the hardest lessons I had to learn when I got into Linux is it is so much easier to nuke and pave, right? To just wipe it out and put down something new, but you don't learn anything new by doing that. You need to stop, figure out what you did, and then move on from there. But that's interesting because the way that you talk about free and open source, the way that I've watched, you know, you stream live, you would think that you've always been this way, and it basically seems like, no, I mean, you've dabbled with it back in the early 2010s, but you didn't really jump into it until COVID, which is only 5 years ago.
Exactly. I was a regular Windows user before. That's a funny thing.
Well, welcome to freedom. So I have to ask, what distro are you on right now, and is it Arch, by the way?
No, it is Debian, because I went with Debian-based distro after I tried so many Debian-based distro. I tried Linux Mint, XFC, Kubuntu, Xubuntu, and other things. I said, okay, I know the tool. I want to try Debian testing because I wanted more update software, and actually it's behaving fine since I installed it. So it's not breaking often, actually, or not at all. And basically I switched to Debian because when I was using Kubuntu at some point, it was having some problems with freezing randomly. Then I tried Debian, and also I noticed how much less resources it took and how better it was handling everything. And then I was sticking with Debian at some point. I was not going back, let's say. But yeah, I would also try to do some distro hopping at some point. I just don't have time.
I've been out of distro hopping for about 10 years now, and because I worked at Red Hat, I was on Fedora for a long time, and now I'm on Debian as well, just because I want stability. And unless I'm doing something like OBS, for instance, it had some issues with Pipewire, so I had to pull in Pipewire from upstream, but outside of that, and I'm not on testing, I'm on Debian stable. So
I think I received Pipewire like 2 years ago. I don't know, because I wasn't testing, but actually I tried it for music production, because before, and some user is mentioning Jack in the chat, I was using Jack with Pulse Audio with some scripts. They will allow me to run audio from different sources at the same time. And so I could stream Firefox audio and stuff like that. But then Pipewire came out and everything became easier. So I just installed Pipewire, and it was like, okay, I don't need to do any of this manual stuff anymore. Still, I will say, if you need real-time audio and you need many audio sources all stuck together, Jack is probably still a a bit better on latency, but Pipewire, it's catching up. It's probably almost there. I mean,
Well, and it seems like a lot of folks don't even realize this, but when Piperwire was coming out, they actually worked with the developer of Jack to make
yeah,
sure that they integrate all of that stuff. And he's like, they are very much hand in hand together. And that's what I had always heard too, is like, if you're in, and not, I am not a musician. I don't know, I can't read music. I don't know how to play an instrument except for, just banging on it or something.
yeah,
The guitar is the one where you hit sticks on it, right? That was a bad joke. Sorry. But I had always heard that, like, if you're an audio producer or something, that you run Jack, and now that to hear you say like Pipewire is catching up to that, I think that's a good thing, because that's what we want, right? We want all of these tools to not have to be. We want them to be plug and play, to be as friendly for everyone as possible.
yeah.
So when did you find the Fediverse though?
It came a bit later. And by a bit later, I mean like 3 years ago, not earlier. I started streaming, as I told you, but I started streaming on Twitch. And basically, after spending a couple of years on Twitch, I did not I did not have time anymore to stream so often. So I took a break. And in between that break, I opened Mastodon, because during the last year, on the last months of streaming on Twitch, I moved to Mastodon basically, and I started publishing my stuff there and advertising to people when I was going live and stuff like that. And I just stopped streaming at some point, and I resumed 1 year after. But because I was on Mastodon, I was able to learn about Peertube, and I was interested. When I think when they started creating instances, public instances, to allow people to register and upload videos, they didn't even support live streams at all. And at some point, they started also doing that. So I was always more interested, and then I decided that if I had to come back to stream, I wanted to stream on Peertube and not anymore on Twitch. Okay. So that's when I restarted in 2023, I think, after almost 1 year of break. And I restarted streaming, but it was on another different Peertube instance. And then I stick with it, and now I'm still streaming on Peertube. And I deleted my Twitch account, by the way, because I didn't want to stream there anymore. And the same went with YouTube, actually, the same thing. So that's when I learned. And another key event for me was when Reddit just decided to create that shitty situation with the API where people had to pay to access. Yeah. And everybody started migrating to other platforms. And one of them was Lemmy. So I also discovered Lemmy. I deleted my Reddit account. And yeah, I was fully in Fediverse. And I'm a happy Fediverse user right now.
And everything you stream, games-wise, to your Peertube is open source. They're all open source games?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I started only with open source games, then without thinking too much about the definition of Libre and open source. So I didn't really care about the assets. I only cared that the engine was open source. But then I started also leaning towards games with also open source assets or Libre assets. And now I prefer streaming games with both engine and assets that are FOSS, that are free software. But if it happens, I also stream games only with the engine that is open source. But that's more rare nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of these I've never heard of. Vikings of Midgard?
That's very hidden gem, I would say. It's a JRPG. It's a RPG game, which is really nice. I love this kind of RPGs, and I don't know. I just found it, and I have thought that would be very cool to stream and play. I also sent an email to the developer, and he said he was working on a sequel, but they never started actually.
Okay.
But that's funny to see how many of those people are actually around. those developers are just around, but they don't develop their projects anymore. They are
Oh
still
yeah,
there, but
yeah. I mean, I believe that it's a difficult thing creating software and then still finding the time as people transition to different points in their life, right? Like we
yeah.
were talking earlier about how you have to prioritize what works best for you, and sometimes you got to give up on the hobby. Software engineering, people don't understand how difficult it is to do even a small game. Like it's a lot of work.
It's an immense amount of work. Like it's crazy how much work you need to do anything to create anything playable. That's
Yeah.
that's crazy. But just a little clarification: Vikings of Midgard is another JRPG. I was thinking about the other one I streamed, which was Valeria Tears, which is also mostly unknown.
Do you have that on here?
Yeah, yeah, I have it on my channel.
Zero K. I've never heard of Zero K. Yeah, that's what I have your channel up right here.
If you go to the
Showing off some.
Discovery series, should be there. But probably it got lost while I was transitioning to this new Peertube instance. Some videos got lost, I think. But yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. What is your current favorite Libra game to play?
Well, this is a very difficult question because I get addicted to games with a campaign, and for like 3 months, I only streamed Tanks of Freedom, which is a
That's another one
clone.
I had never heard of.
Yeah, it's a clone of Advance Wars, which is
Yeah.
a strategic turn-based game where you have to, with isometric style graphics, where you have to just conquer the enemy base, and classic turn-based like Westnot. And I basically streamed that for months because the campaign was long. I was addicted, and I wanted to complete the campaign. I'm also a person that wants to complete stuff, completionist, and yeah, that was my favorite a couple of months ago. Now I don't have one. I am not playing anything in particular. I'm mostly developing, but I will get to a new addiction soon, I'm sure.
Am I allowed? Like, are you developing a game or?
Yeah, so I in the past I developed a lot of stuff in Bash because I needed for my computer, and then I started developing games. And the first thing I created is or the actual project I'm doing. It's called Wasted, and it's my game.
Oh yeah, yeah. I see that.
It's a Forkos Super Tuxkart, and it's not related to Super Tuxkart anymore. It's completely different now, and I'm in this process of creating a fun game, complete game, and try to release the 1.0 at some point next year. So I'm very busy with that.
Dude, this looks great.
Thanks.
I mean,
Also,
it's it obvious you just drove off the side of the map, but yeah, that looks really good.
yeah, actually, it looks good. I think also because of people that helped me along the way and contribute to the game, create assets, created cards for me or maps, or just help me with code. So it's a buggy game, but the multiplayer mode, which is the thing that I'm building, which is the core part of the game, it's playable, and I'm happy about the state of the multiplayer mode, which is
Well,
uh,
and that's
yeah.
one of the things that I've always thought about open source games. There's too many people that immediately look at them and just say, "Oh my God, that's ugly, that's stupid. I'm walking away." But if we can get like Blender, right? Blender
Yeah.
dumbass, he makes such beautiful worlds when you stop to look at him. He has a very specific art style. And when you can get groups of people like that together, even if they're just drive-by developers or drive-by, like, here's an asset, and then you come back 6 months later or something, like, and I think we're getting to that point. But if you can build up communities like that, you can make something wholly unique that we've never seen before. And I think that this has been such a odd thing for people to grapple with. And I think things like Godot when Godot went open source and showed, hey, you can make and do a living in open source, and here's an engine, or OBS, right? Like OBS, how many people had never heard of open source? And then on Twitch, at least I remember early days of Twitch where people were like, well, how are you doing this? And someone's like, OBS. They're like, well, what's OBS? How much does it cost? They're like, it's free. Here it is. Like, what?
Yeah.
And we are gaining speed. I love that so much.
Yeah, but that's the thing. A lot of people now develop stuff alone. They have like a lot of contributions from other people, and this it's very painful to say, but unfortunately, a lot of people are on Discord, and we have to accept it, because a lot of people love free software and they hang around on Discord. They don't come to Matrix, they don't come on IRC, they don't come on XMPP or Fediverse. They're there. And I know, because before removing Discord as well, I was hanging around in a lot of servers of free software games, Red Eclipse 2, Your Land, which is a server on Mindtest, Rigs of Rods. They're all on Discord. They're just there. So if you're not there, you miss a lot of
it's one
stuff.
thing at a time. Like when I went to Fedi Forum, and I don't know if you know Andy Piper. Andy Piper is the head of communications for Mastodon. He had been on the show before I talked to him at Fedi Forum, and there were so many people that are like, right, we understand that we want to all live in free and open source. We want to live in the Fediverse. We're already here, right? And that's why we have to kind of reach out to those other places. I've since reactivated, my Discord account, which was dormant. I just never really used it. I'm trying to get more active there and set up a YouTube and Twitch. I've started streaming to my Twitch account again. Not that I want to support those, but as a way to help offload people from there, right? And it stinks and it sucks, but does the end justify the means, right? With Discord, it really sucks because, they're harvesting every single conversation you have with AI. So I was thinking, well, I'm going to bridge the two. It's like, no, I'm not going to bridge the two because I'm not feeding my entire community to that. But a lot of open source projects now are saying, in their, like, come talk to us on Discord. And then they'll have a byline underneath it saying, not a byline, but, like a little snippet saying, yes, we know it's Discord. It sucks, but it's easier than, like, they still have to build the community. And that's what people know at the moment, right?
Yeah, I have my idea about that is a bit different from yours. Basically, I think that if you stay on Twitch and if you stay on Discord, because people are just being locked in, they don't go outside. If you stream on Twitch, people will end up just watching your stream on Twitch. And that's after I spent a lot of years also publishing videos on YouTube. And I learned that a lot of people is interested in Linux and audio production on Linux, for example, but they will never quit YouTube. And that made me think. That made me think why I am publishing content on YouTube when people will only leave YouTube when YouTube does something shitty, like Reddit did. Reddit and Twitter started shittifying themselves, and people escaped to something else. And that's when actually it broke the this barrier I had, and I said, okay, I have nothing more on these platforms. I don't want to be part of them, and I want people to discover me because they come from other platforms and they say, oh, there is somebody already here. What you're saying, it's something very true, in my opinion. It's true that we need those very known platforms to advertise Fediverse, but at the same time, I think that we're just making people stay there. That's my opinion. I
mean, I see. I absolutely understand that. I was one of those, but it wasn't until recently that we're still going. The Fediverse is not perfect. It still has a lot of problems, right? But we're still growing. And we're still trying to figure this thing out. But 5 years ago, Peertube was not really an option, right? Like, it existed. It was really not great. Even now, there's some issues with it. But I'm looking at it as, let me incentivize those folks. First, let's reach out and tell them we exist, but let's have a way to incentivize. On YouTube, I don't control any of the ads, right? On Peertube, hey, you don't need to worry about ads. You don't need to worry about being followed. You don't need to worry about them deciding that you won't see my video now because I, showed something that they don't like. One of my good friends, everyone's going to be very surprised by this because we're Americans, is very much into guns. And there's an entire community of people that are into the engineering aspect of guns. How do they work? They can't talk about it on YouTube. So they have to go find somewhere else. And where are they ending up? They're ending up on Odyssey. And I think all of us can agree that might be just as bad as YouTube. It may be worse because Odyssey's pretty awful right on its face. And if we can get them to find the Fediverse, does that help solve the problem? I don't know. And I think this could be a conversation we have. You and I can have this conversation for hours, right? Like, which way to go? Yeah.
Sure. I mean, you can probably make me change my idea because I think you have valid points. But when I saw for years, I tried convincing people on Discord, people part of free software projects, please create a bridge on Matrix. I want to be able to reach you and make other people there that I know to reach your project. They cannot reach you because they cannot be on Discord, and you don't want to build a bridge, and they say, no, we don't care, we just want Discord and blah blah blah. So
this is what I've learned with Linux, and I feel that free and open source development and Linux, the trajectory is very similar to the Fediverse. I said this a million times on the show, and I'll say it a million times again. But something like this, you will never convince someone to choose free and open source. You have to, again, incentivize them slowly, plant those seeds of doubt, and let those other platforms and shitify themselves so much that they come asking to you. And it's just Discord and everyone else before them, Reddit, YouTube, they were the earliest and they were the easiest at the time. But we see them getting worse and worse and worse, and they're shooting themselves while we're in the background, building our stuff to be better, building our stuff to run it how you want, and eventually people are going to start, in my opinion, people are going to start really caring. I've talked to so many people about the Fediverse, and I've, people that don't know anything about technology and said, how would you like it if you can run a social network just for your little group of friends? And they love the idea, right? And like, well, what can I do with it? It's like, whatever you want, it's yours. You could connect it to your neighbor if you want. You can do all these other things. And we are, in my opinion, at the very early days of the internet. I don't know how old you are. I was when I got on AOL for the first time, I think I was like 13 or 14. And that's right when it was starting. Like, my friend had the fastest modem on the block and it was 28A. And then eventually you would see, like, I was enamored by it. I ingested as much as I could. And then I would see on the, I would hear it on the radio, or I'd see it on the news, or I'd see it in the newspaper. Yes, kids, we had newspapers back then. There were these big papers that had all the news. Basically, think like an offline weblog. It was really weird. But as that started to filter through society, people were like, oh, this sounds interesting. What is the internet? How do I use it? And I think we're at the pre-stage of that, where, at least in our world now, though, information is instantaneous, right? Like, you don't have to wait until 11 o'clock to watch the nightly news. You can get it right now. But we need to plant those seeds that when people make up their mind and decide that they want to try something new, they know where to find us, and we can help lead them out. And unfortunately, the places we have to plant those seeds are those platforms. And believe me, I did not want to agree to this at all. I'm with you. I would rather not be there. But as I've told my whole community, I am choosing to be there so you guys don't have to.
It is a good point. This is a very good point. Having some, yeah, there was a guy who was actually creating a Twitch live stream with a bot that was looking at his Mindtest server, or yeah, now it's called Luanti. So it could
Yep.
basically advertise the game for everybody, but it was just a bot, so he had only one follower and stuff like that, and one viewer. But yeah, I think it kind of looks like that when you're on X or whatever platform to advertise for all the Peertube creators or all the Fedi creators. I think that kind of looks like that. You're there, so you can allow the people to know others,
Yeah.
and that's a different point. So not everybody else need to be there because that will be exactly like before. But having
Well,
somebody that can represent us and say there is the Fediverse, it's
yeah.
much better. Also, it's kind of related. I wanted to create or publish the last video on my YouTube channel before deleting it. And I was thinking about creating a video explaining what is the Fediverse and why I moved there.
Hmm.
And I hope it can reach people because my channel still receives a lot of comment, a lot of
Oh,
video
nice.
views.
Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube channel is very active, even if I don't do anything at all for years now. And
Well,
I, yeah,
not to like try and I think all of us kind of hate the self endorsement thing. Like we don't want that. We want to talk to people that are interested. You don't want to have to endorse, but
yeah,
like all of my stuff on my PeerTube is up for anyone to use. If you want to eventually take this and put it up on your channel, feel free. You don't have to,
sure.
but every way that I think that we can reach even one more person is another way to get out to more people. I think Luanti and Minecraft are a great example, right? I was around before Minecraft was, officially sold. Like I think he did it in stages, right? And
Mm.
I think I bought it for $12 way back when. And I think it's a great example of an open source project mirroring something, but then you can extend it and make it better. And the thing with Minecraft is there will be a day, and I know it's hard to believe, there will be a day where it doesn't get any more updates. Microsoft does not do things for free. They do it to benefit themselves. And as far as Minecraft is concerned, it's money. And there will come a point where the money is just run out. And it's not
Yeah,
where with Luanti and Mindtest, it's not just a game, right? It's an engine, and you could take it and do whatever you want. And as long as we have one person that is interested in it, it will live on. And I really think it'll live on longer than Minecraft.
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, only recently Loanti started getting better and even gaining a lot of more features that before were unthinkable if you look at Loanti a couple of years ago. And that's nice to see. But sometimes also free software projects sometimes stall and they stop for some reason. They don't gain traction, they don't get contributions, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean they're dead at all. Somebody can always start a fork or keep
Yep.
them alive. So
Yep.
that's the beauty of these kind of things, of this software.
And that's what I love right there. There's nothing, as long as the repo is still up, there's nothing stopping someone in 5 or 10 years finding that and be like, oh, this is interesting. I could take this and I can push this out. And, I could build off of this. And that's one of the reasons I've always loved free and open source software, is because even if you contribute a line of code, you might never know that that line of code can change someone's life. Right? It sounds and
Yeah.
it sounds idealistic, but I truly believe self-discovery and self-education, at least for me, has been such a massive part of my journey in free and open source, and I've seen the freedom that it can give me.
I think like this is really interesting because I sometimes I think people forget what free open source is. It also means that you can modify, study, and also redistribute. No, for example, in the GPL license, you can do this. It's
Mm-hmm.
stated that you can do this,
Yep.
and you can get the source code, do whatever you want with it. Some people like to start their own thing instead and start always from scratch. This is also very cool. This is very interesting. You can learn a lot of stuff, but you can get like burnout easily because you have to do too many things, like creating an engine for a game or creating a game from scratch. So sometimes I like to remind myself that there are so many nice open source projects out there, and I can just take something from from somewhere
Yeah.
and start my own project, and I don't have to start from scratch. This means I will be faster and I will be delivering something to others sooner than later. So,
Yeah.
and yes, I have nothing against people who start stuff from scratch and learn from that process, because it's very enjoyable. But at the
Hmm.
same time, especially when you have to work on a game, that's the reason why people use game engines, really, because they
Yeah.
made a
That's a good
lot
point.
of things easier. I don't really use like Godot and visual game engines. I still use Antarctica from SuperTuxKart, which is C++ and stuff like that. I would rather not, but I have to. And basically, at least I started from a project that was already there, because when I started, I had no idea at all, no idea how to create a game, to create a project, to make what I wanted. So I started looking at the code and saying, okay, this is how a game looks like. And if I started from scratch, I would not be here today talking to you about my game stuff.
But so that's brave, man. Like that's I hope you take time and you are proud of yourself in that you've seen this thing that you like. It's made such a massive difference in your life, and you're just like, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to jump in and do it. And you might not get to whatever goal you've set, right? But you're still doing it, and you're still talking about it, and you're still you're still streaming it over video. And that is brave, and that is amazing, and thank you very much for that. That's awesome.
Thank you for the podcast, actually, and what you do for the Fediverse.
Well, it's only good because everyone is on it and they've been so receptive. Everyone is amazing. And we're all, I think I'm terrible with compliments, but thank you. To pivot a bit, because I didn't even know you had this until you and I originally talked about being on this show. You also do music. You create
Yep.
music. You are a musician. Is that tell me about being a musician? I know nothing about being a musician. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. But I can't play any instruments. Again, I don't do any of this. So how did you get started in music?
That's very interesting from my point of view, because that went like all the other things, almost all the other things in my life I like. I just discovered it, and I had a piano at home. My brother was playing sometimes. My mother was studying piano. My sister also was playing when we were at the old home with that piano. And then I started playing the piano myself alone. Nobody taught me how
What?
to play. No, nobody taught
You're
me
a
how to play the piano.
self-taught pianist?
Yeah. At some point, I started playing more and more alone by ear. I started recognizing melodies and playing them, and then I started learning about arranging stuff, arrangement, chords, progression, stuff like that. And I started messing around with the instrument. We had some music lessons at middle school, but that was really bad. Just randomly playing with this small keyboard yeah, that didn't teach me
Yeah.
anything. But I started messing with the instrument, playing music I liked, like Dragon Ball theme and stuff like that. And then more and more I started getting involved in music. I started playing with other people. So I found a band. We played post rock at high school. I started messing with music again. And then I decided taking lessons. After a couple of years, I mostly learned theory instead of like learning piano. And
Okay.
I only a couple of years ago I started learning jazz piano from a teacher, but I mostly was interested in the theory part, because I was quite okay with the manual part of the instrument and on the music side. So I think I was at some point I was able to play many things. I was able to teach myself how to play those things, but obviously I was not a classic pianist, so I lacked technique and stuff. So I also wanted to learn that. But yeah, I started alone. I mostly learned a couple of years theory, and I kept going on. And at some point, I also wanted to go to study music after high school, but then I chose something else. But I still played, I still composed music. Yeah, that is a really nice. Was a nice period of my life when I did this like every day. Yeah.
What so do you know any other musical instruments? Do you play anything else, or is it pretty much strictly
Mm,
piano?
not really. I played some like air instrument. I mean like melodic. I don't know if you know the instrument. It's like a small. It looks like a small keyboard, but you play it with your breath. So
Yes.
there are some professional instruments, and they sound really nice. And at school we played that, not an electronic keyboard. So we
Yeah.
were
What is it
training on that
called?
instrument,
What
melodica.
is a melodica?
Yeah, it sounds a bit like an harmonica, but
Yeah. Yeah,
it's I think it's pretty capable because you have all the keyboards, all the keys of the piano. So if you know piano already, you also know how
yeah.
to play this.
It's
Um,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
it counts like another instrument, but I still just play piano and
I
keyboards.
I'll be honest, the first time I saw one of those was at a friend's house, and I thought it was like a joke. Like I thought it was that they were just being weird and just like glued like things together, and like, no, that's a real instrument. I'm like, what? I mean, that makes as much sense to me as the accordion or the bagpipes. Like they're so far unlike anything I've ever seen that I don't know how to wrap my head around something like that. Again, I'm not a musician, so
Yeah, the nice thing is that you have different sound, but you still can apply your knowledge of piano on that instrument.
okay.
So you don't have to learn different like keys combinations. You just have to learn how to play with your breath. You have how to breathe actually, how to make different like notes, how to make them sound differently. Because depending on how you set your breathing, the note will sound differently. There is actually a technique as well that you can use to do some bending on the pitch of the notes.
There's
But yeah.
in the Fediverse, there's someone, I think I found them through the Fediverse, if I'm correct, where someone took a Commodore 64
Mm-hmm.
and made it into a musical instrument that's like a piano guitar thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that?
Maybe.
I need to
Is it
find
Italian?
this. He doesn't talk.
No, I don't think then that's the person I know.
At least I haven't seen any videos where he talks, but I think it's like a theremin and a Commodore 64, and he does like he uses the keyboard like a piano or like a accordion or something. I need to find it and send it to you. I'd like to get your thoughts. Not that I expect you to like it. Just briefly talking about our styles in music doesn't mean I have a clue what you like. But as someone that's a techie, and you know, I love to see people use technologies in ways we never like that you were never created for, and just to be amazed at that. And it sounds okay, right? Like I could pick up my keyboard and slam it on the floor and call it music. It's not that. But I need to find this. If anyone in chat knows what the hell I'm talking about, please let me know.
There is another guy I think that uses Game Boy Advance to make music.
No way.
Yeah.
On the Fediverse? Or just
yes.
in general? What?
Yeah. On the Fediverse. Wait, I can maybe find the link.
I need to find this.
Maybe I find it in my feed now because I don't remember the name.
This is him. Linus Akison. Well, he's Swedish, so I can't pronounce this.
Linus is easy, at least.
Yeah. Well, is it? It's Linus, isn't it?
So I don't. I always said Linus. I don't know.
There's Nico.
Nico.
Which Nico is Italian, I think. So you obviously know Nico, right? That's a joke. That's a poor joke.
Actually, it's an abbreviation. Yeah.
for some reason, as Americans, a lot of Americans assume that like if you are from a country where someone else that they know is from a country, they just automatically assume you know each other. Dude, Italy is not small at all.
Yeah, it's not a big country either, but yeah,
It's
it's not
not, but
small.
it's yeah. I'll see if I can find this for you and give it to you because like it amazes me. Um, wow. Okay, this has been a great conversation. Thank you. Oh, I didn't know
I'm
that.
also enjoying it. I mean, recently I just got on. I got very hyped with Linux phones, but that's a very deep rabbit hole I don't want to open now because.
That's a hole filled with a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Have you been following was it Libre Lux? Was that the latest one?
Oh yeah, you're also up to date with that. Yeah, I donated some money to them, but I knew that they were not able to finish the campaign. That was clear, and I hope they reset their goals. They can do something easily reachable because we need something like that.
I
I
agree.
really, yeah.
I 100% LibreX Next. That's the one. I think we need something like this. I want something like this. For those that don't know, yeah, they are not going to hit that goal. Is it still going? Oh, it's closed. Okay, they did not hit it. They got 10% of what they were asking for, but there
Yep.
was a fully Linux phone, and they had like accessories like keyboards and stuff, which is a great idea, and we all love it and we all want it. The problem is it's still so cost prohibitive. Like they originally announced the phone was going to be $1,000, and everyone's like, no. And then the best they could do, they're like, okay, well we have another one because of community feedback that
Yeah.
had less memory and
Yeah.
less
Yeah. Yeah.
storage, I think, and it still was I think 750 US, and I'm just like
Yeah.
I can't prioritize that. That's I don't spend anywhere near that on a phone now. I spend like $200 on a refurb. So that's a hard. So, why is that? Oh, I'm on the wrong page. That's why I was going to show this off in case people didn't know.
But actually, I don't need that phone, and I want to explain that what I mean. I need a phone that basically is repairable and allows
Yep.
me to run Linux on it if it's possible. And I was checking other phones like that. There is a Fairphone and there is also the Shift Phone 8. They're both
I didn't know
completely
that one.
repairable. And it's a pretty cool project because I can, for example, run either Android or Linux on it. And I
Okay.
want to run Linux, and I'm waiting for Postmarket OS with catching up with that. The thing is that I think it's called Liberux Next. Don't remember.
Yes.
They aim at porting the software directly to the phone, which is a very challenging thing to do. It's
Yeah.
not like Fairphone. It's very challenging because they have to create the hardware, but they also have to port the software. And
Yep.
they don't want to use anything else that's already there. They want to port Debian. This is also challenging. I don't know if it's the right choice. I would love also to buy that phone, but as you said, it's pretty expensive. And
Yeah.
I don't know how would I use 8 GB of RAM on a mobile phone. And I am more preferring like stuff that is repairable, so I can enjoy a phone for like 10 years and
Yep.
don't worry about replacing it.
I,
Yeah.
I would love. I was the IT guy in the family. I told my wife like, excuse me, as long as I'm here, we're going to use Linux. And she said, that's fine. And she had to get a laptop with Windows for her doctorate program. And she keeps telling me like, I can't wait until I'm done with this damn program in order to put Linux back on. Cause she hates Windows. It sucks. It's a very low powered laptop. It's very small. It's very cheap, and it sucks. And so I'm like, this is great. I've infected my wife. Like she loves Linux, and my kids, that's all they know now. But when I started like kind of poking out, like putting out feelers to her on a framework laptop, and she's like, I love it. I love it. I want a framework laptop. Eventually, in a year or two, when I'm done, I want a framework laptop. I'm like, yes. And I said, it's going to run Linux. She said, of course it has to. I was like, great. And then I said, well, there's this. She's like, well, what about cell phones? How can we get cell phones with Linux and repairable? And I said, well, the best one that I know of is the Fairphone, but they don't sell them in the US. So,
Mm.
and she's disappointed. Like, it's funny to me that I've nerdified my wife so much that she craves these things that once upon a time you would never even think wouldn't happen, that it was yours when you bought it, that you can repair it when it was broken. Like, that idea has just completely gone out the window, and I think people are looking to get back to it because they're sick and tired of all this crap.
Yeah, actually, my actual phone has a broken screen, as you can see. I'm a mostly broken screen, and I already replaced it once, even though it's not so easy to repair, and it's almost 5 years old. It's still running fine, but the moment when the battery is dying, I have to spend a lot of money just to change battery, because if I do myself, I will probably break it. And I have some
Yeah,
experience in
yeah.
mounting hardware, but I'm not um, very expert with unmounting phones, because that's very difficult nowadays, and you have to be careful with it.
My kids
That
have a
sucks.
Nintendo Switch. I didn't buy it. My parents bought it and for my kids, and one of the chargers just stopped charging the controller, and it's like I started taking it apart, or well, no, I think it stopped charging. Period. And all I did was take off the back. I looked at it. I was like, I could get in here, but it's gonna be even more broken. And I closed it up, and it started working again. And then came to find out that the charging port on the side stopped working after a couple months. And it's like, there used to be a time where you could fix this shit, and now they just want you
Yeah,
to throw it away and get another one. And just it infuriates me so much.
yeah.
There's no reason for this.
There is really no reason. I hate this. I hate this. I really
Yeah.
wish we can get back to repair the stuff we have, like desktop computers. We can still change parts.
Right.
Maybe not for long, but
What?
yeah.
And they can do it. The Steam Deck. I literally did a stream where I took off the back of my Steam Deck. I followed an iFixit guide. I had gotten a new battery from them. Like, they're like, oh, this is a scale, like, I think it was 1 to 10, or they said it was very hard repair, and it was take off the back, like, use a hot gun on the battery to loosen the glue, pull up a couple ribbon cables, and that was it. I was like, if this is hard, I want to see easy what they compare it to, but then anything that is anywhere near that is impossible. And like the Switch, again, Valve was able to do it. Yes, they get their
Yeah.
funding through Steam, or yeah, through Steam, but like it should all be able to be do that. And in years to come, you're going to find people use their Steam Decks in ways that we've never dreamed possible. And I can't wait for things
Yeah,
like that.
it's already pretty amazing that you can just run any Linux distro on it, maybe with some caveats or something like that. But you can run it as a desktop computer and do whatever you want with it. That's impressive, I would say. But there are other portable computers that you can buy.
Have you seen the Hackberry Pi?
No.
It's not a phone, but if you know what a BlackBerry is,
Ah, BlackBerry. There was a phone, a BlackBerry, right?
yes, correct. It was. So I can send this to you. I like this. It's basically a BlackBerry with a Raspberry Pi in it that runs Linux.
Huh.
And
Really?
I just got one, and I haven't had time to do much with it, but it works so damn well. And if this is a glimpse of what our future can be with Linux and openness and repairability on these things, I can't wait. I hope little projects like this continue to go on. I'll send you this. You might like it. But
Yeah, this is very interesting, actually.
oh, do you have a link?
No, no. I mean,
No. Okay.
I'm
The
commenting
idea of it.
the idea, because yeah.
Okay. I will say, talking about Discord earlier, it their community is on Discord, but that's not what they're trying to do. They're focused on making a really cool Linux thing, but that's the repo with it, and that's just one of them. Like, they have multiple different versions depending on which Raspberry Pi you get. But
Hmm.
I think it's a really cool idea and design, and this is done by like one person, and it blows my mind. I mean, not the end product. I think they have a company in China that builds them, but they designed the whole
Yeah.
thing, and it's
I've
really
seen
cool.
it actually.
Well, have
But
you?
yeah, does it have a modem? So can I call people?
It doesn't. That's no.
Uh,
However, I mean, it has Bluetooth radio in it, so if you have like Signal or Matrix and can do voice over that, Jitsi, it would do
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Not regular cellular modem. That gets into a whole other, rigmarole with classifications of government and whatnot. I think this project is a little bit too small for that, but yeah, I'm excited by things like that. One of my community members showed me
I
that.
know a person who actually bought a mini PC and created a chassis outside, like for this mini PC, which made it similar to a phone, a very big one. So he just mounted the screen on top of this stuff, and he has a huge phone in his pockets with a modem in it, so you can use it as a phone because it is a phone now, and it has a battery, has modem, and it's just plain old x86 Linux, desktop Linux.
No, I mean there was
It's
a
crazy.
time. There was a time probably before you guys, a lot of folks here, but some folks remembers there were bag phones. It was literally a bag that
Yeah.
you carried around, or there was a car phone because it needed the car to power it. It's like these are not problems that we can't solve, but I think part of the issue is there's too many Linux hardware designers looking to fit this. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this, right? And it can be something else. And we need to start thinking outside the blocks. But the problem is people they think everyone wants this, and just to make it look like this, that in order to sell something, it has to be that form
Mm.
factor. And there's a lot
Yeah,
of us nerds out here that want anything.
I would love to have a phone with a keyboard, like a BlackBerry and stuff like that,
Yeah.
or the old Nokia Engage with the keyboard that you can just scroll down. But
Yes.
I have to say, recently some manufacturers are doing something interesting. Like Motorola is going back to foldable phones. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a couple of years old. This thing, it's not new,
Yeah.
but still, the concept is interesting because they realized they could do something different, while others were just creating black boxes that were expanding even more. But we have to remember,
Yeah.
before, phones were very small. After like 2000s, they were very, very small.
Oh
And
yeah. No, I had. I'm trying to think. Yeah, because I had a flip phone back in the
yeah,
early 2000s. What the hell was it? A Razor, a Motorola Razor, and it was
yeah,
amazing. And it was a brick, and that thing works so well. Like I could drop it off of a 2-story building, and it would be fine. This, I have to buy, a screen protector and a case just to protect my itsy bitsy thing here, and it costs more. I don't
well,
want it
yeah,
to cost more. I don't want it to do everything. And then you get into something like the Nothing phone. It's like that sounds like a great idea, and it's $800 for less features, and I'm just like, I no, I can't do it.
there is also the Punk T, which looks like a calculator and costs like a couple of hundreds of euros as well, and you cannot do anything on it. Like you can do a basic stuff, but it's designed that you don't do all the stuff that you will do on a smartphone. I think it was called Punk T phone.
Oh,
Yeah,
Punk T, yeah. But one of the problems, though, again, as
Punked.
I was talking to my therapist about earlier, is modern day society like requires a smartphone, and I hate it. My wife and I, we went out a couple months ago to a restaurant, and I was like, "Can I have a menu?" And they're like, "Oh, use the QR code."
Yeah,
No. Can I have a menu? I'm like, "Oh, well, let me go see if we have one." You better go fucking write me one if you don't have one, or at least tell me. I don't want to use my phone for all of this shit. But I'm
yeah.
old.
No, I
Damn
totally
kids.
agree. I totally agree. Like it's being out of control. So with banks and stuff, you need an Android phone. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
cannot. It's being so crazy, and that's the reason why I want to switch to Linux Mobile, and I'm so scared because I don't know then how to run my bank, and I have to find another way.
Yeah.
I either have to keep an Android phone with me because
Yeah.
none of these apps run on Waydroid, which is very bad, very bad because they will block you
Yep.
because they recognize that's not Android, even
Yeah.
with the virtual machine. Or I was thinking about maybe I run my phone in my home, and when I need it, I set up a VPN, and then I set up something like VNC, so I log into it, and just
Yeah.
because my bank is shitty and doesn't support a proper web app, that's
Yeah.
very, very,
No.
very bad.
But and you say things like that, and it sounds ridiculous, but that's the power of full Linux desktop, right? Like my on my TV downstairs, it has all these smart apps, and they're locked behind all this crap, and they give me all these ads in them, and I'm like, no, take a little Linux PC, plug it in. Internet doesn't care; it can watch the same shit, and now it doesn't block me because I don't have the right app installed. Let's go to your website. Screw it. Like that's what we want. We want that power and freedom back.
Yeah.
So, but
Well, yeah, nice discussion, very nerdy, but
yeah, I was laughing earlier that, this was going to be one of the most technical things, one of the most technical conversations. And I was right.
well, yeah, not so.
Linux
I
nerdy.
would say less technical, more like nerdy stuff.
Linux nerding out. Yeah, I should put a disclaimer for the video.
Well, like last time, we also talked about something else. We talked a lot about Fediverse, actually. So it was a different kind of conversation when we when we talked the first time. I don't know what's more nerdy, like the Fediverse stuff or the Linux stuff.
I love it all, but I don't. I love it in the way that it is ours, right? And that's what it comes down to. I've never liked a Windows machine. I don't care, but I love my Linux machine because it's mine. And that idea has just gotten so alien to people, and it's sad. It's just just throw your computer away and get a brand new one in order to put on the new Windows version. Like, when did that even become thinkable, let alone okay?
And then at the end of the day, you just have to run a bunch of web apps. You have to run a browser for everything, and it's even worse.
With advertisements in the start menu, like we all thought, like this is the nail in the coffin. People are just like, okay,
crazy.
Blows my mind.
But when I think about this moment where I am right now, I'm speaking with you. A couple of years ago, this was not possible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was on Reddit, I was on IRC talking and playing with Libre Game Night, and none of this was there. The Fediverse was probably already there, but nobody was on it.
Yep.
Nobody was even thinking about creating a podcast somewhere about Fediverse. So I think we've come a good way, a long way. We have to actually think about this and appreciate what it's going to come out in the next years, probably.
You're gonna, for all the younger folks here, there's gonna be a time where you're talking to your grandchildren about how you were there when the Fediverse got started. Like that's how it is with the internet. Like my kids are 8 and 5, and like they've only ever known the internet as it is right now. And I'm like, there was a time where I had to go to a library to get a book, and we still go to the library, but now they look it up. Which book do they want on the computer? It's like, no, I had to know the Dewey Decimal System, and Dewey and his decimal system can shove it up his ass. Sorry. But now for the real reason I asked Franzo here is to give him the opportunity to win the prize of a lifetime. Our prize today is a license for every free and open source software now and forever. Thought about buying you a copy of Windows XP, but apparently I think that's not supported anymore, even though it was the best Windows.
Yeah, I agree.
And I know Linux is always supported, so we'll just go with that now. Are you ready for the quiz, Franzo?
Let's go.
All right. Favorite movie and why is it Spaceballs?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't hear that.
Favorite movie and why is it Spaceballs?
Oh, okay. I didn't really watch Spaceballs. I'm sorry, but I probably my favorite movie is The Matrix.
The Matrix, the first one?
Yeah. Recently I've watched it many times, again and again and again, I cannot stop thinking about that because of how they projected like the AI stuff and all this stuff, the machines.
Yeah.
Starts to look real
Oh
compared
yeah,
to
no,
12,
it was
10 years ago.
a huge movie for its time that really had a explosion in the way that we thought about computers and whatnot, and even how cinematography was handled. Like it was big. I haven't watched it in
Yeah,
forever. Maybe I'll have to go back. I watched the what was it Matrix 4 or whatever it was, or
yeah, the latest
well,
one.
it was okay.
Yeah,
It doesn't. The hard thing is when you have something so genuinely unique that general audiences haven't seen it before, you've set the bar so high that if you don't live up to, like, it's not a bad movie. It is
yeah.
not The Matrix, and nor will they ever make The Matrix, right? So
What I heard is that the producers basically, or the director decided that uh, Warner just wanted a sequel, and she didn't want
yeah,
to do a sequel. So half of the movie is like fan service, and the other is something else. And
yeah,
I realized that's really like that. I think
yeah.
that's really how it happened. And also in the Matrix, in the
It's
movie, they say that they want to build a game which is a sequel to the Matrix, and Neo doesn't want to do it. That's, I don't know. Looks like a parody of itself.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. All right. Next question is canonical, Susi, or Red Hat?
Oh, okay. This is a difficult one. Because I started with canonical, but then I realized I didn't like that a lot, right? Because of Snap and stuff. And then maybe, did you mention Reddit?
Yep. Canonical, Susi, or Red Hat?
Red Hat.
Okay. Why?
They do cooler things than canonical. SUSE is also cool, but they do cooler things than canonical. The-
Interesting. So I figured being a person in the EU, you would lean towards Susi, but
but I honestly I don't know much about SUSE. I know about OpenSUSE, SUSE,
okay.
but yeah, it's not so. I don't know if it's a popular distro nowadays. I never use it, so yeah. But I think
Hey,
Red Hat was also behind a couple of nice things we have in Linux now. Uh, so
just
why
don't say
not?
System D.
No, they will kill me.
Everyone's gonna jump out of the screen at you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question is universal serial bus, universal basic income, or the universe?
Okay. I will say universe, the universe,
The universe. Okay. Why?
because it basically comprehends all these things you mentioned, both USB and universal basic income.
And I figured that would be the answer. But the universe also brought us terrible things like proprietary technology and Android and Apple phones. What do you think of that now, Franzo?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I should choose USB then and stick with that.
Okay. What? Next question is: what does an alternate universe Franzo do?
I will probably be a musician, or I will probably be somebody who will do something with this degree in political science.
Oh, interesting. Do you have a background in
Because
political science, or?
yeah, that's when I was playing music. I studied political science. I got the bachelor, and then I stopped like with
like
that stuff. So yeah,
like me? That's yeah. I actually started in political science as well.
that's funny. That's why
Yeah.
we are involved in Fediverse.
Right? No, it's fascinating until you realize that your only options are like to be a lawyer, to go into politics, or to be a police officer. And I was like, I don't want to do any of that. That all sounds
Yeah.
terrible. Well, I reached out to an alternate universe Franzo. I have a special alternate universe phone here.
Mhm.
Don't ask how it works. It's very technical. And he told me he works for Microsoft. Oh, sorry,
Oh
wait.
my god.
I got that wrong. He works for Microsoft. It's a fungus-based software company, but he randomly sees different, things that aren't there. So,
Hmm.
love to know how that works, but good luck to alternate universe Franzo. Don't get too high.
Microsoft. Okay. Okay. Luckily, it's not this universe, right?
No, I mean, I don't know if you take mushrooms, but Hey, maybe you are a software developer, so maybe you work for Microsoft. I don't know.
Better than Microsoft, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tastier at least.
Yeah.
Okay, next one, which might be hard, but I don't know. We're gonna find out. Free Orion, Tux Cart, or Zero AD.
I won't say Free Orion because I played and streamed that game once. I didn't get into it. Probably my bad because I think it's also a nice game. But Super Tux Kart and Zero AD, that's very hard. Super
Okay.
Tux Kart is one of the first games after Westnot I started playing. I started playing online, playing tournaments because they have football tournaments sometimes.
Oh yeah, forget about that. Yeah.
And I streamed all of them. And basically, Zero AD, I love it because it's like Age of Empires, and I played Age of Empires in the past. So I like the game, but I didn't play that much. So I would say Super Tux Kart.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. That was
and
hard.
Then...
It was hard.
The Zero AD developers will make sure to ban you from ever playing again now.
Yeah. I'm also trying to mod the game right now, and breaking it doesn't start anymore, stuff like that. So I hope they will forgive me.
That only makes you more educated on it and makes the whole code base stronger eventually, though, right? So there is that.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. As usual, will be sent to Franzo telepathically. I will send you the question, let you know when it gets there, which you know because you'll get the question. But for audio listeners, this will be the key that you've got it. Take your time, think about it, and then give me your answer. You ready?
Yep.
All right, here comes. Okay. I sent you the question. I know it only took a second, but the speed of telepathy is very fast, much better than the current Comcast internet. So take your time on that very long question and let me know when you come up with an answer.
I will take my time then.
Okay. And don't send it back to me telepathically.
I will say the answer is Linux, actually.
Linux. Okay.
It's
Why
Linux.
did that's in it interesting. I wasn't expecting Linux as an answer to that question, but so why did you choose Linux?
Because Linux is always an answer and it solves all my problems. So.
I love that. That's perfect. Congratulations.
Well, I have another answer to that because it changed my life, and it's true.
Okay. That works too. That's fine. But congratulations, you got every answer either correct or incorrect. Good job. Unfortunately, I went to buy a license for every open source application, and I was told they don't do licensing. So I'll make sure to reach out to my politicians to outlaw that kind of heinous and disgusting behavior for giving away free software so that we can get you your license.
Well, I would have loved to receive a free software license for all the free software available out there, but instead I just received a tax mascot, and that's enough.
I love it. But that's all we have for today, everyone. Thank you so much to Franzo. You've been such a great guest. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for attempting to foster the Fediverse with all of the amazing content you have. And you have a lot out there. It's not easy posting into the void, but we're getting there, right? Like you have an amazing community that the way, I had followed you in the past, but I've had numerous folks from your community come to me and say, you have to have Franzo on. I was like, we're getting there. We're getting there. I promise. We had to reschedule one, but we got there in the end. So we're seeing more and more folks watching, interacting. For me personally, I hope you're seeing that. As a creator, I don't need everyone to watch me, but that just yelling out into the void is scary and lonely, and it's not easy. But you're helping trailblaze others that are like, hey, Franzo's doing it, I can do it, and hopefully they come to you and ask for education, and we all help each other out as best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I always would try to be helpful when we're talking about free software. And thank you for your time. It was a very nice chat with you. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was great. Absolutely. And of course, we'll have to make sure that we're revolving around each other's circles more, because a lot of folks in my community have been talking about, well, when are we going to have a Super Tux Kart night? When are we going to have a, what's the FPS shooter? I can't remember the name of
Sonotic?
it. Sonotic, yes. There you go. So
yeah, you also send me that telepathically.
Yeah, you reached into my brain and pulled it out, right? So yeah, please keep doing what you're doing. It's absolutely amazing. You are helping bring a friendly, nice atmosphere to the Fediverse, and you're continuing to push out content there. And that's what it needs. We're right now in the chicken and egg problem where people will say, there's no content for me to watch, so I'm not going to watch there. Well, the creators are saying, well, there's no one watching there, so I'm not going to cast there. So you're helping get over that hump, and I appreciate it. I hope everyone does as well.
You're doing too, actually. You're helping a lot. Now there is content. Just go and watch it.
Right? Hopefully we're doing well enough to find even again one more person. That's all we need every time. One more person. So.
Hopefully.
And thank you everyone out there, the Fediverse, for those watching and those not yet watching. You'll be a Fedison someday, I'm sure. But you're all the reason that we do what we do. I'm sure, Franzo might still put out content, and even if no one was watching, interacting, but it's not the same. I do this because I get to talk to wonderful folks out there, and we get to all interact and mingle and learn about each other, and we are all stronger because of it. So thank you everyone on the Fediverse out there doing what you're doing. As always, don't forget to tip your admins. Don't forget to tip your software developers. Your free and open source software developers still have lives, and they still need to put food on the table as well. And all of them genuinely and greatly appreciate it, I'm sure. And if you enjoyed the show, please feel free to consider donating to this. All money goes right back into the Fediverse, either through the show or through the platforms we're building. Our first one is a Peertube platform, tubefree.org. Or eventually someday I want to start donating back into the Fediverse through my nonprofit organization, BT Free. I do donate now, but through the company as well. So that's all we have today. Thank you all so much. We'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.